welcome to our program. As we record this show today, we are 9 days out from the start of the 2024 World Athletics Relays. It's a real big event and a really important one. And my special guest is an outstanding and accomplished athlete over the years, and now in the business of athletics. He is president of the NATCAT, the North America, Central America, and Caribbean Organization for Athletics. Mike Sands, good to see you.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How ready are we?
We're there.
We're there?
It's 9 days and it's game day, and so at the end of the day, there's no turning back now. I mean, like everything else, there's always some little touching up, some little cosmetics, but the LOC, Local Organizing Committee, is in full mode. Everybody is in execution mode, and so, we're just waiting for the bell to ring or the gun to fire.
Wow. Now, explain to Bahamians how important this is. We've had these relays before, but this one is a little bit more important, isn't it, than the past ones we've had?
For sure. Well, the Bahamas has hosted the inaugural event in 2014.
Right.
And then we did it again in 2015, and then we did it in 2017. The difference now than in the past is that this event will serve as the Olympic qualifier, the primary Olympic qualifier for countries wishing to attend the Paris Olympic Games in the next several months. And as I said, there are 16 available slots for the Olympics. 14 of those 16 will be determined here in Nassau next weekend, May 4th and 5th. 14 of the 16. So what we say is you can't get to Paris unless you come to paradise.
Wow. So. Now, let's talk more about I want people to get an idea as to how many people are coming here. I think you said something like 890 athletes from 54 countries?
There are 800, the entries are closed, and so we know the exact numbers right now. And so there are 893, 895 athletes that are coming in, and there are 54 countries that will be represented.
Great. And now you have officials as well.
Yeah, well, we're speaking.
And what kind of numbers are the officials?
Well, we're speaking very specifically to the athletes. We're not even talking about family, friends, supporters, and the officials. And that number could amount to anywhere to 16, because I think in the planning, we were actually catering, when I say we, the local organizing committee, are actually planning for 1,700. And so those numbers will probably be still pretty much on, because you're talking about the World Athletics family, the hierarchy of World Athletics, and you're talking about the coaches, support team. For example, if you have a country like, let's say Cuba is across the border, they're coming with 29 athletes, okay, United States. And we talk about the athletes, and so those countries, they travel with their full support team, because obviously these are professional athletes and they need the care and attention. So when you look at the medical staff, the support staff, the coaching staff, the administration staff, there's a lot of people that are going to descend on this island. As a matter of fact, some teams already started to come. I understand that India has been here for the past week.
Wow.
Yeah, so they've been here training. So this is serious business.
Wow. We've heard the Chinese gave $30 million to get that stadium back up to where it should be again. They're ready now?
Yep. Well, again, I don't propose to speak on behalf of the ministry, the government, whatever, but when they say give $30 million, I'm not so sure that is correct. I know what I mean is that I think the value, and there's this value in kind. I mean, the stadium is a $30 million stadium. I'm told by others that it may be even worth more than $30 million. And then, of course, the Chinese undertook to do the repairs, and everything needs maintenance and repairs. And so whatever the government would have negotiated with the Chinese on board, and they're still here, and they're working very, very seriously. They have several shifts, and so they too understand the significance. As a matter of fact, the next World Championship will be held in China.
Oh wow!
So at the end, so there's a story, and there's a message, and there's a presentation that they would want, obviously, and they're capable, and so they're doing an amazing job, and we're all excited about the next 9 days.
What kind of action do you expect? Do you expect plenty records to fall, you think, this time?
Yes. As a matter of fact, some of the countries, like the United States, I know initially Noah Lyles, who is now the fastest man on the planet, he is the triple gold medalist from the Olympic Games, the World Championship, the 100, 200, and the 4x1. and he has been talking about wanting to break the world record for the 4 by 100 meters that is set by Jamaica. So that is going to be interesting to see. The United States also has 4 of the 6 persons that were on their world championship team, including their silver medalist, I think Gabby Thomas. And so the countries, they know the significance of it, and so they're bringing the best that they have to offer today. What that means is that sometimes people say, well, what about this named person? What about that named person? This is an Olympic year. Their athletes may not be at their best at this point in time, but they're satisfied that they have the manpower or the woman power, if you will, to qualify, because then when the games themselves come, then they would be in a position to put all the star power. Some countries, however, are putting in all the star power now, such as Nigeria. The Netherlands have their own world indoor champion, Femi Bowl, right? They're on the way. They're here. I mean, Dominican Republic, Cuba, like I said, is coming. And you name them. They're all. And we tend to forget on this side of the globe, the Europeans, the Germans. Whether it's Ukraine. I mean, countries will be coming with their best. Africa.
I think, was it the World Champions? You talked about India, and I think it was the World Champions, the last World Championships, where India did an incredible performance. I think it was the heats. I don't know. I can't remember where they came, but they won the heat, and it had everybody saying, "What?"
Well, India's program has really been going to higher heights. I mean, I think they had the world champion was in the Olympics, and the javelin or in the World Championship or the Olympic Games, and so sports for me is, to me, it is part and parcel of being able to do some positive things in society, to motivate young people and to help with some of the ills that we're experiencing in society.
The discipline alone.
When you look at it, right, and I like to steal a word from my friend and mentor who's passed on, Tommy Robinson. He likes to refer to it as the 4 Ds: determination, discipline, dedication, and desire. And if we have those things, this is what sport teaches you. And so sometimes, not to segue from the subject at hand, but sometimes I think we have to look at investment in sports and sports facilities and not at a cost. And I'm not suggesting that we're not doing that, but I'm saying on a wider scale, I think people are quick to say, oh, we spend that much, we spend this much, but look at the plus side of it. The positive energy that young people put into sports. Imagine if that all is on the streets.
Exactly. Exactly. And you don't know who has what talent until you bring it up.
The diamonds in the rough. And we are fortunate in Helsinki at the inaugural World Championships in 1983, I think it was. They had a display. They had a museum sort of thing, right? And under the Bahamas showcase, it was one simple word, or one phrase: small country, great athletes.
Wow.
But
it's true, though. Really, per capita, I mean, you don't like to compare, but we really have some outstanding athletes. I want us to talk about our team in a little bit, but before we get there, let's talk about the business of athletics, which you know very well, because that's what you do. And we're proud of you, when we see you on the world stage, and it means a lot to all of us. But how important is the business of athletics, and how important is that for athletes?
Well, as you said, it's a business now, and this is one of the reasons why it is no longer referred to as amateur. In the past, it was the, Bahamas Amateur Athletic Association, or the Jamaican Amateur Athletic Association, or the International Amateur Athletics Federation. It became such a business, it has become such a business that they changed the name, obviously, and obviously for the benefit of the athletes. It's their job, it's their livelihood. They get the parents' fees to appear at an event. There's prize money, right? And so this is what they do.
If I read correctly, I believe that in Paris they're going to give 50 grand to the gold medalist.
And I am 100% in support of that decision that was taken by the executive board of World Athletics, right? And if you think about it, Julian, it's been too long that the promoters, if you will, for the lack of a better word, benefit from the performances of the athlete. You get these lucrative television contracts, because of performance. I mean, I am so happy to see that the NCAAs, for example, has now gone to a image position where the athletes in university can get something for their image, right? And think about that. Big universities make millions and millions and millions of dollars, particularly the revenue sports of basketball and football in particular.
Yeah.
And the athlete that creates that opportunity for the university, and when I was in university, we couldn't get $20 a week, and that was only to do laundry. But yet still the university program brings in millions. And so times have changed. And so it is a business for the athletes, and they take advantage of it, and I certainly encourage them too, because your athletic career can only last so long, right? And so while you have the opportunities, make hay while the sun shines.
Although you are seeing some people lasting fairly long these days.
Well, like I said, that incentive, that incentive drives it. And so, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, in the day, it wasn't like, I mean, you get to 26, 28, you kind of get old now, You got some fellas, I mean, our very own Chris Brown went to 40. You had some other people that are really doing it. And of course, like I said, nutritions have changed, new technology has come into play, right? New training methodology has come into play. And so through all of that, they were able to have more longevity in their careers, and rightfully so.
You mentioned technology. Let's talk about the kind of technology that's going to be at that stadium on the 4th and the 5th. World Athletics is bringing all of their equipment to...
Yes, Seco is the timing company.
Okay.
And everything is done with Seco. Then they have Delta Tray, and some of these terminology actually escapes me, but I can tell you the whole facility, as in the past, will be transformed. You'll see also television. I mean, you've got all the television. I mean, European broadcasting will be broadcasting it throughout Europe. In the Americas, I believe it's going to be NBC, and in the region, I think sports, not sports, but I think TVJ through Sportsmax, and of course, I neglect to mention that BTC as the primary sponsor. Not to take a commercial, but at the end of the day, and you know who the beneficiary of this? The Bahamas.
Yeah.
The facility. You see, and so when we invest in infrastructure, right, as a small country, and this is why I kind of cringe a little bit when people say, "Oh, we're spending too much money." Well, if you're going to get in the game, you got to play the game.
Yeah, but I mean, you got what, I guess, let's say 2,000 people coming here. How could you count that? I mean, and then everyone's going to be watching it all around the world. You can't pay for that.
And here's my thing, right, to that point. As a tourism-based economy, like you said, we can't pay for it. Because when you're going to have the world watching the world relays, 54 countries, we know for sure at least 54 countries are going to be watching, because 54 countries have their athletes trying to qualify for the Olympic Games. So let's start on the basis that we have 54 countries, and if you live in this neighborhood and you're in the Bahamas, man, your whole neighborhood, because you've made the Olympic trials at the first instance. And so the economic impact is what you have to look at. That's why I said, when we look at just pure numbers, we say, "Oh, this costing us." Right? Well, what's the economic impact? Tourism-based economy, our name is forefront to the world specifically for the next week, because there's build-up. If you go online to Athletics site and you look around in countries, people are telling the story. And what's up front? The Bahamas, the Bahamas, the Bahamas.
All the time.
And then when you look at the direct economic impact from our perspective, the hotels. I mean, the head hotel is going to be Margaritaville. Then we've got athletes all over the place. When I say all over the place, the two major hotels for accommodation is going to be Breezes and Atlantis and Paradise, right? And then the media hotel is going to be the Nassau Marriott Hotel. And when you look at that, then you look at the transportation that is going to be used. When you look at the temporary employment, when you look at the vendors, we're going to have some 40 vendors for a 2-day period out there. You look at the vendors, and so you look at the trickle-down economic impact that this brings to you. I mean, sometimes you talk to some of those vendors, they say, "Man, we can't have this every year," because and that is where you have to look at what is the big benefit. Don't look at a dollar spent, because a dollar spent goes a long way for the benefit of people.
Talking about every year, I think they were circulating that we might have wanted to have this as the permanent base for World Athletics. How likely is that?
Well, you know, the Bahamas had offered itself from the initial stages, as I said, back in 2014,
Right.
when we had the first event. And the Bahamas, seeing the benefit of it at the time, certainly, and hopefully again at this time it appears that way too, right? Seeing the same thing we talked about a few minutes ago, the economic impact, the economic benefit, the tourism value, right? The Bahamas would love to see this as home to the world winners. You know, every city, every country, well, the majority, have a marquee event, have a Nike event. You have the Indianapolis 500. You've got the New York Open, what's it called? I mean, tennis, I don't know, you know. You've got Wimbledon, you know. You've got the Boston Marathon. So what I'm saying is, I am in support of the Bahamas locking down an anchor event, and maybe several anchor events. Because if we want to talk about sports in paradise and our proximity to the world, it doesn't take 48 hours to get to the Bahamas from
Let's
anywhere.
get to Miami and
From anywhere. Well, Miami, get to London.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at all the flights from Africa and whatever that goes into London, so you get to London, you get to Canada, you get to the US, you're here. And then our immigration policy with respect to visa, you know, we're not an open gate, but we certainly don't have such stringent requirements that persons are turned away. And there's always a spirit of cooperation with not just the immigration department, but we have what we call government agencies on the LOC.
Right.
And recognizing the significance of this event, the government agencies, we have regular meetings with them, and so they give us the do's and don'ts, and by the same token, we are able to explain to them what issues we may be having. For example, just yesterday, one of the countries applied for their visa, and the visa was rejected because they inadvertently put in the box a female when the person is actually a male. Okay, and so
whoever was filling out the form didn't know who the person
and this
was.
is one of those, and so it was rejected by the system. But we have persons in the office, you know, monitoring those kinds of stuff because they want to give, first of all, timely responses, right? And so I got a phone call to say, "Oh, Mike, it's been rejected." I was able to walk next door to say, "Listen, this country so and so, this individual, can you check on that?" They say, "Okay, just tell them to re-enter."
Now, you know all the players on this stage, right? So obviously you playing an integral role in this. You're going to need a lot of rest after the 5th. Eh?
Well, you know, I just want to be very clear. I've not taken credit for anything. There's a local,
you gotta.
no, but there's a local
I know
organizing.
it's a team, but
there's a local organizing committee, and I'm a part of the team.
Yeah.
Right. The chairman is Dr. Danny Johnson. The CEO is Jamaica Watcher. Pauline Davis is the deputy CEO. Calvin Balfour is the managing director. And then we have the organizational chart that I sit as a part of the board. And so I make best effort to lend my advice as objectively as possible. Sometimes it's not always taken that way, but sometimes, you have to be a critic, and at the end of the day, and I have no problems with that, because at the end of the day, it's collective responsibility.
Exactly.
It's not about Mike or Chumiko or Danny. It's about the Bahamas. The Bahamas.
Yeah.
And so and we are showcasing ourselves to the world, and that's what I'm all about.
Now, I guess we're going to have to ask Bahamians to be very patient on the roads, right? Because I know that it's going to be organized, but at the same time, from what you're telling me, you're saying Margaritaville, you're saying Breezes, you're saying the roads are going to be chock-a-block.
Well, the other thing to that too is, the roads will be chock-a-block, but as I said a little earlier, we also have the support of the GSA that includes the armed forces, the police, and the defense force. And so the athletes and members would be moving without riders. I mean, so, if you hear the sirens screaming down the road with the motorcycle cop, and you see the buses trilling behind, they ain't going to Fox Hill, they're coming. They're going to the stadium, so they'll be coming from Paradise Island, and they'll be coming from Margaritaville, and they'll be coming from Breezes.
What are you hearing from the teams that are dealing with ticket sales? How's it looking?
Ticket sales are steady, but I want to take this opportunity to encourage the Bahamians, because there's a couple of things. We are known, first of all, for last minute, and we need to stop that, because,
You might get disappointed.
I can tell you, because I can tell you that I got a request from some of my friends And the request, for example, this morning I was told that the level that they're looking for, which is like the upper gold level, is all gone.
Wow.
So like it's like the high-end tickets. So when you look for tickets, you may not have the opportunity to find that what you're looking for. You have to accept what you want.
So
what you get.
those would be where at the finish line, or?
Yeah, you've got if you can picture the stadium, you have what you call the lower level, which is like say about 75 meters to 110 meters around the curve. Those for me, those are good prime seats in that area, plus the top. Mind you, the stadium don't have any really bad seats except for a few where the columns, and they don't put those in inventory. All right, and if you look, especially for relays, I mean, the most exciting part is that final exchange on the 4x1, right? So persons that would be down at the top of the turn will have a wonderful opportunity, and that's where the most pressure, and like you say, pressure bursts pipe, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, and so I encourage Bahamians to look for their tickets, get their tickets. Tickets are online. The box office is open at the Andre Rogers Stadium. And the ticket prices are from the back straightaway or the general admission, $10 for children, $20 for general admission, and then there's 40, 50, 70, 150, and $100. And so those are on the top straightaway.
Let's talk about the events. How many events? Because these are relays, so you're not going to have any individual performances really. About how many events are there?
There are going to be 5 relays. 5 relays. There'll be the men's and women's 4x1, and the men and women 4x4, and then there'll be the mixed relay.
Right.
So those are 5 events. And
so no 4x2 or anything.
No. That's the one that Noah Lyles said he was looking for the world record. And so after that was what is happening is that the events are just what are going to be in the Olympic Games.
Okay.
And so in the past, you know, when we initially had it, it was like the 4x8, 4x15, the 4x2s. You know, everyone was excited about that, and so it's going to be short, fast, and sweet. So if you come late, you bought your ticket and you miss it, right? I mean, so you've got the 4x1. So it's going to be just the sprint relays, which and the relays that are done at the Olympic Games. You know, and so and just for that, to the point that you make, we have 32 men's teams that are entered, or 32 countries in the 4x1 and the 4x4. We have 30 women's team countries in the 4x1 and 27 countries in the women's 4x4. And then we have 30 countries in the mixed teams.
And at the end of the day, there's only 16 spots, you said?
16 spots gonna come out of that.
That's a lot of pressure.
Right? And
a lot of people will be heartbroken.
And the athletes realize it. And there's prize monies also. Now, I don't know the exact amount, so I wouldn't attempt to suggest it. I think it may be $60,000 for first, but I wouldn't want to go on record as saying that. But there's prize monies. And then there's also the golden baton, which is like the top team receive that award. So, for example, the top team may have won, like say United States did it for 7 years, they would have won 2 or 3 of the relays, right? So.
But of course, the main thing is don't drop that baton.
Don't drop. Well, I want to.
What happens in a situation? Let's say if America drops the baton, they'll be out of the well, would there be? They'd have to try that other spot.
They actually, and I'm going to pull it up for a second. But there's actually an opportunity for a second chance on the next day. So it's for example, the 4 heats. As I said, in the 4 heats, the first 2 in each heat will automatically qualify for the finals the next day. So the 4 heats, and what I said, there's 32 teams, so 4 heats are 32. Okay, so those 32 teams would be covered in terms of the actual competition. But only the first 2 in each of those heats will qualify for the finals the next day. Okay, and those finals next day will automatically qualify for the Olympic Games.
So technically, though, and this is the thing that's interesting, I think, you could actually come third, not make that top 2, and still have a faster time than somebody else who came in the top 2, right?
Yeah, I want to share with you very specifically for the better understanding of the listeners how that particular system is going to work. So just I know what happened. I can come back. This recorded, right? what's going to happen is that I have to, I lost the Wi-Fi because I shut it down.
Oh,
yeah, so I shut it down, so I don't think I'll have to, let's see.
Well, let's keep talking in the meantime. The mixed relays now, male-female relays, are becoming increasingly popular. Some people say, don't know if if it's fair, right? Because I've seen races where, hey, this team is winning straight through, and then a really fast man goes against a slower woman and takes it.
Well, no, to that point, that has changed.
Oh, it has.
Because see, and I was a little indifferent for the change, but I understood the change too. We have to look at gender equality. I mean, we accept that, right? The relay was the only event, or is the only event, where you can strategically place have strategy, but you put your strong or your weakest runner, right? But what happened is that the relay ended up being, the mixed relays ended up being not very exciting when the disparity, for example, I mean, it could be exciting to an extent that if a girl or a lady or woman is like 60, 80 meters in the front of a male, then everybody is rooting for him to catch her. But then, I think that started to give some different connotation, that the fella is trying to chase a woman to beat a woman. So you have to be sensitive to things. And so the decision was taken, and I think rightfully so, by World Athletics, the executive board, right, that there should be a standing order. And so the standing order is the woman, it may be man to man, woman to woman. So the woman anchors, and she starts. The male starts, the female runs second, the male runs third, and the female anchors.
Okay.
So
and
now
that's the order. That's
the order.
No matter your team,
that's
the way you gotta
changed. Yeah. So that's changed now. So it's not like you put what you want. You have to have the male start, the female run. So you run in. So if you got a great 400-meter men, that's good, right? And then you've got a female. So it's a balancing act, male to male, woman to woman. And, so.
Okay, that sounds a little fairer.
Yeah. So it's much fairer than it used to be now. So it makes for more excitement.
Yeah,
because we're doing heads-up matchup.
Exactly. Exactly. Now let's turn the conversation a little bit to our athletes. From your point of view as an athlete and a man on the World Athletic stage, how are Team Bahamas looking?
We're going to be, as I understand it, we will be fielding 4 of the 5 teams, right? And the 4 teams would be the men and the women's 4x1, the mixed relay, and the men's 4x4. They're obviously
no women's 4x4.
No women's 4x4.
Oh, okay.
I think we, and again, I don't speak for the B3As. I'm not sure what the order is going to be, but it's general knowledge and information to the public because the entries are in. Those are the countries, those are the events that the Bahamas will enter. I think the Bahamas is going to make a good showing of itself. You would always want to have your top athletes available. Circumstances may not permit you to do so, as I started the show by saying, because of whatever the circumstance may be. But I'm satisfied that the Bahamas is putting its best foot forward. And if you were to say which you think would be the creme de la creme event, obviously I don't know exactly how they're going to do and what they're going to do. But bearing in mind, we have the likes of Shanae, we have Stevie.
So we have Shanae and Stevie in a relay together.
Of course. Shanae and Stevie, and then you have Anthony Strawn, who's running extremely well.
Yes, she is.
And then we have there's a young man, Alonzo Russell, out of Freeport. He's been running extremely well.
Right.
Then we have Wendell Miller, who's training in Jamaica, and I'm told by his camp, the Jamaican coaches, that he is going to be a force to reckon with real soon. And to that point, I saw a performance that he did just the other day, and he's already on like I think 45.6, 45.7.
Wendell Miller.
So listen for that name, young fella. And then we've got some others, right?
Terrence Jones,
Wanya McCoy. Like I said, I don't know their status, so I don't want to venture to guess, right? Because bear in mind they are in the university system, and so there's obligations all around. And so that's a matter that I'm sure that the B3S is dealing with.
There was a name that I was happy to see there as well, but we're going to talk more about the athletes. We're speaking with Mike Sands. We're talking about World Athletics, May 4th and 5th. We'll have more right after this.